In the tutorial on consciousness, we listed the three parameters by which consciousness can be measured: frequency, duration, and depth. In the tutorial on the many eyes, we studied our multiplicity and created external shocks to remind us to be, in effect, increasing frequency. In the tutorial on self-observation, we added the element of observing ourselves to each moment we remembered to be, in effect adding depth. And in this tutorial, we will add duration. We will attempt to prolong consciousness by focusing on a small unit of time and increasing the frequency in it so much that the many sparks unite into a single flame. We will draw from the Hindu myth of the churning of the Milky Ocean as a description of how duration can be attained by tugging or pulling against habit, and we will set specific aims to pull against the habits we observed last week.
Freedom, liberation, this must be the aim of man. But he cannot cease to be a slave outwardly while he remains a slave inwardly. Therefore, in order to become free, man must gain inner freedom.
Although our eyes are many, the spectrum of our habits is limited. Last week, if we genuinely observed our inner chaos each time we awakened and took note of it, we should have discovered a limited spectrum of habits repeating often. I slouch in my chair in the same way, I eat my lunch in the same way, I answer my phone in the same way, I hurry from one place to another in the same way, I forget where I left my car keys in the same way. In my struggle for inner freedom, my habits have a clear advantage over me. They're well established and quite resilient to change. The struggle for inner freedom is a David and Goliath type of struggle, where a small company confronts a mighty host. How can David overcome Goliath? How can Jesus cope with the multitudes? How can few overcome many? The secret lies in setting small aims. Instead of focusing on the big war, we break it down to small battles. We downscale our efforts to fit the moment.
Aims shrink very much when you begin to work. They start enormous, like balloons, and then they become quite small, so that you can put them in your pocket.
If I think on too big of a scale, say, I want to stop hurrying from one place to another this week, then my will quickly be defeated. One eye will decide this, another eye will disagree or not even know about it. On the other hand, if, as I catch myself in a hurry, I decide to slow down right now, and then reaffirm that aim the next moment, and then reaffirm it again a third moment, I may achieve some success, which will then spur me to make more effort to work. The habit, being a habit, will reassert itself. Duration, then, will be a matter of reaffirming and reaffirming and reaffirming a small aim. This back and forth tugging between habit and aim is portrayed in the Hindu myth of the churning of the Milky Ocean.
To regain the nectar of immortality, Vishnu winds the giant serpent Vasuki around Mount Mandara and instructs the Asuras and Devas to tug on the serpent so as to use the mountain as a churning rod by which to churn the ocean of milk.
The Asuras represent my habits, and the Devas represent my disciplines or aims. Once I formulate an aim around a recurring habit, I effect an internal tug-of-war between habit and aim. Now I catch myself in a hurry, so I formulate the aim to slow down. Then momentum overtakes me, so I pull back again. Then haste returns, And yet again, I reaffirm my aim to slow down. So does my work affect an internal churning, just as in the Hindu myth.
If one tries to take some small habit and check it, that may serve as an alarm, but only for about a week. Next week, another will have to be found.
This is where it becomes interesting. The habits that normally kept us asleep now start waking us up. Their reliability becomes a blessing in disguise. Instead of setting external reminders to be, I now have internal reminders simply by setting small aims. We prolong consciousness because of, not in spite of, our habits. David knocks down Goliath with a small pebble, a small aim, but he slays Goliath using Goliath's own sword.
Aim must be clearly formulated, understood, and remembered.
And this will be our aim for this week, to pull against the habits we observed last week. We will again change our ringtone and wallpaper, and each time we're reminded to be, we will carefully observe the habit of the moment, set a small aim to tug against it moment by moment, to create a chain of sparks that should blend into prolonged consciousness, or duration. If this is the first time you're experimenting with small aims, or if this is the first video tutorial you're viewing, I recommend choosing a habit from the moving center, such as haste. We hurry a lot, speak too fast, eat too fast, walk too fast, drive too fast. Try to catch such unnecessary haste and pull moment to moment against that mechanical momentum. Don't be discouraged if it doesn't work right away, if you can't find your habit, or if you cannot pull against it effectively, or if the habit disappears too quickly. Keep trying until you succeed. You only need one success, one personal experience of internal tugging to verify what it means to turn a weakness into a strength by setting small aims.